Right, I will answer. Mr. Speaker, we used to say that the political declaration was so vague it was a blindfold Brexit. But what we also now know, because the Prime Minister has made clear that she intends to leave her office, is rather than it just being a blindfold Brexit, the party opposite are asking us not only to be blindfolded, but to be led into a different room by a different Tory Prime Minister.
Grateful to the honourable gentleman for giving way. Does he agree with me that what we've heard today from the Attorney-General is an attempt to dress up political shenanigans as a requirement to get a legal certainty, when in actual fact what they're trying to do is to solve the Tory party's political problems so they can usher in an unelected right-wing Prime Minister to negotiate...
Order! Every honourable and right honourable member of this House must be heard. No attempt should be made to shout someone down, and if it is made, be in no doubt. It will fail. Joanna Cherry.
Perhaps the honourable members opposite would like to go and join the mob outside. My point is this. What this is about today is an attempt to solve their political problems and usher in a right-wing, unelected Tory Prime Minister to negotiate a Canada-style free trade agreement and a workers' rights-free Singapore-style economy.
Well, the Honourable Lady, when we talk about political chicanery today, she's absolutely right, Mr. Speaker. And remember as well, today was a non-binding motion. I appreciate, Mr. Speaker, you've not chosen any amendments, but even if you had, they wouldn't have been binding in any event, and the government could have wriggled out of them in due course. Mr. Speaker, I'll give way.
Thank my honourable friend for giving way. I'll take no lecture from the SNP that failed to vote for a customs union that could have created the conditions for compromise. But can my honourable friend confirm that it is entirely conceivable?
Order! Far too much noise. Ian Blackford.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I must say it's disappointing that as I stand up to speak on behalf of the Scottish National Party and the Scottish Government, that the Prime Minister has walked out the chamber. I regret that that is the response that we get from the Prime Minister, all too common, I must say. And this is on the day that the Prime Minister told us that the UK would leave the European Union with a deal. She's come to Parliament defeated and desperate. This is a Prime Minister who is willing to break every promise she has made to this House and to the people of the United Kingdom. This is a Prime Minister who has had to offer her own resignation to get her own party to support her bad Brexit deal. This is a Prime Minister obsessed with power but powerless.
I'm past caring. It's like the living dead in here. So that is the problem. I won't comment on the language, but that is the problem. That has always been the problem. No. We have a divided cabinet. We have a divided parliament. We have a divided country. People are feeling very passionate out there. But this vote isn't going to solve the problem. It isn't. Monday's vote might offer us a way forward, and I hope the House is going to seize it.
Mr. Dominic Grieve.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I think there may be one thing which probably unites us all on many sides of the on both sides of the House, for most of us, which is the utterly wearing quality of the debate on which we've been engaged for so long. And so, as a consequence, when we find ourselves being presented with an opportunity that might bring that debate to a conclusion, there's always a temptation to look at it and to think that it could be a way out. And that's particularly the case because, of course, for many of us in this House, although I accept not all, the sword of Damocles of a no-deal Brexit hangs over us. And that sword of Damocles is a matter of huge anxiety, because I happen to believe it would be catastrophic for this country.
The Prime Minister told us we must leave on the 29th of March and even wrote that into primary legislation. Then she herself voted against leaving on the 29th of March. So the Prime Minister then went to Brussels to negotiate an extension and almost unbelievably even turned that into another negotiating failure. This government's Brexit negotiations have been a litany of failure, culminating in today with a Prime Minister who's been forced to announce her own departure, only tabling half the deal she has negotiated. This really is a half-baked Brexit. Mr. Speaker, this deal, even the half of it we have before us today, is bad for our democracy, bad for our economy and bad for this country, and I urge the House not to be cajoled on this third-time lucky strategy and vote it down today.
Prime Minister!
Mr. Speaker, this has been another impassioned debate on Brexit. I've stood here on many occasions over the past few months, answering questions and taking interventions from right honourable and honourable members. What I want to do in the minutes remaining is to set out the serious choice that faces us. Today, we can give the public and businesses the certainty they need. Today, we can show we stand by our word. Today, we can show that we can come together in the national interest. Today...
Not too much noise in the chamber. The Prime Minister is addressing the House and must be heard. The Prime Minister.
Today, we can show we can come together in the national interest. Today, we can take a step forward together. This is a difficult day for members right across the House. I'm asking members to take a hard decision, and I know that. I'm asking some honourable members... Now I'll give them...
In her heart of hearts, won't she accept that this Brexit will make Britain poorer, weaker, more divided and more isolated? And the door she should not shut is the door of democracy. She should allow the people to have the final say if they want this shambles, because the Leavers in my area certainly don't.
If you're passionate about making sure that the United Kingdom leaves the European Union, back this motion. If you care about our union and want a deal that protects it, back the motion. If you want to honour the referendum but want Parliament to shape our future relationship, back this motion. It's the right thing for our country, it's the right thing for our constituents, and with all my heart I commend this motion to the House.
The question is as on the order paper. As many as have that opinion say aye. Aye! Of the contrary, no. No! Division! Clear the lobby! Order! Order!
The ayes to the right, 286. The noes to the left, 344.
noes to the right, 286. The noes to the left, 344. So the noes have it. The noes have it. Unlock. Point of order. The Prime Minister.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I think it should be a matter of profound regret to every member of this House that once again we have been unable to support leaving the European Union in an orderly fashion. The implications of the House's decision are grave. The legal default now is that the United Kingdom is due to leave the European Union on the 12th of April, in just 14 days' time. That is not enough time to agree, legislate for and ratify a deal, and yet the House has been clear it will not permit leaving without a deal. And so we will have to agree an alternative way forward. The European Union has been clear that any further extension will need to have a clear purpose and will need to be agreed unanimously by the heads of the other 27 member states ahead of the 12th of April. It is almost certain to involve the United Kingdom being required to hold European parliamentary elections. On Monday, this House will continue the process to see if there is a stable majority for a particular alternative version of our future relationship with the EU. Of course, all of the options will require the withdrawal agreement. Mr. Speaker, I fear we are reaching the limits of this process in this House. This House has rejected no deal. It has rejected no Brexit. On Wednesday, it rejected all the variations of the deal on the table. And today, it has rejected approving the withdrawal agreement alone and continuing a process on the future. This government will continue to press the case for the orderly Brexit that the result of the referendum demands.
Point of order, Mr. Jeremy Corbyn.
On a point of order, Mr. Speaker, this is now the third time the Prime Minister's deal has been rejected. When he was defeated the first time, the Prime Minister said it's clear this House does not support the deal. Does she now finally accept that the House does not support the deal? Because she seemed to indicate just now that she's going to return to this issue again. On Monday, this House has the chance, and I say to all members, Mr. Speaker, the responsibility to find a majority for a better deal for all the people of this country. Mr. Speaker, the House has been clear. This deal now has to change. There has to be an alternative found. And if the Prime Minister can't accept that, then she must go, not at an indeterminate date in the future, but now, so that we can decide the future of this country through a general election.
Point of order, Mr. Ian Blackford.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We should all be aware.
The right honourable gentleman must be heard. Mr. Ian Blackford.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We should all be aware of the responsibilities that we all have in this House, the seriousness of the situation that we are in. And I would say respectfully to the Prime Minister, she now has to accept that her deal has been defeated 3 times. And I applaud the members of Parliament on all sides that voted against the government's proposition. It is a bad deal, and we have to find a way out of the crisis that we are in. All of our constituents would expect that. We must give ourselves time, and I suggest to the Prime Minister we now must look seriously at the option of revocation. We need to apply the handbrake to this process. And quite simply, Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister has failed to take this deal forward. She does not have the confidence of the House. The Prime Minister has indicated her departure. She should now go, and we should be having a general election.
Thank you. Order. I invite the whip on duty to move the agenda.
I beg to move that this House do now adjourn.
Thank you. The question is that this House do now adjourn. And then the other one say aye. The contrary, no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Order. Order.